if you're Cleveland and you want to put everybody on notice that you're coming, that's Kevin Stefanski is not Mr. Freddie Kitchens, and you're definitely moving in the right direction, this would be a good time and a good way to go about doing it. That's why I say it's more important for Cleveland.
I understand that argument, but I think your best argument is actually one that I was prepared to counter right now, so I'm going to counter it anyway, Stephen A. The Cowboys could win this division maybe with 6 wins. It's not out of the question that a 6-win team could win the NFC East. This is a miserable division, even worse than last year. So how could the Cowboys need it more? Well, the Cowboys started this season with Super Bowl aspirations, as usual. You can talk about their delusional fan base, but you thought they were going to do pretty well, and so did I. They won 8 games last year, and we thought they would get better. We thought the offense would be more dynamic, and you couldn't predict all the defensive injuries, but still, you would expect at least at certain levels, like the linebackers, to get better than last year. Maybe you could argue they have been. But the problems in the secondary have been brutal, and the Cowboys are 1-2. If they fall to 1-3, it's not so much about the idea that they couldn't make the playoffs. It's that what they're demonstrating is, as usual, this is not a Super Bowl contender. Yet another season of very high expectations, and at best, you're going to wind up with mediocrity. Now, from the Browns' point of view, in fact, even the coaches, I'll stay with the Cowboys, even the coaches, well, Mike McCarthy. All Mike McCarthy showed in Green Bay is he was once an excellent coach. You have to be an excellent leader in the NFL to win a Super Bowl. I don't care who your quarterback is. But then the game passed him by. It seemed like the game passed him by. In fact, part of the reason he got hired is because he was willing to admit, well, the game passed me by. I've studied up, and now I understand it a little better. Does he? Really? Because he's made some curious decisions and beat a bad, collapsing Falcons team who collapsed the next week by the skin of his teeth, and he was lucky to do it. And his coaching decisions in that game may have cost him, as opposed to the Browns. Talk about not another Freddie Kitchens, whatever. Stefanski, actually, the analytics guys loved that hire. And in fact, if you listen to people in the Vikings organization, that dude is going to be a good coach. And look at them so far. You know, like more emphasis on the running game. They're 2-1. Of course they lose week 1 to the Ravens. Of course they were going to do that. The 14-win team the year before, no preseason for the Browns. Like, whatever. They've won 2 games since then. Stefanski is actually the guy who, at this moment, if you said who'd I'd rather have as coach, I think Stefanski is a better fit with the Browns than the Cowboys hire of Mike McCarthy, to tell you the truth. So I know Stefanski is less of a proven commodity. How's the Vikings offense look so far without him as offensive coordinator? No, it's the Cowboys who right now have more to prove. And for them, the stakes are higher. The Browns are supposed to finish behind the Steelers and the Ravens. That's fine. They can go 8-8 and look competitive, and people will be buoyed by that. But if the Cowboys can't even win the NFC East, if they're a joke, if they do win, they fall flat in the playoffs. No, this game means more to the Cowboys.
No, the question wasn't who had more to prove, it's who needs to win more.
And listen, and I'm going to go with Stephen A. here. And Max, you're right. The argument that you expected to counter is the argument that's the most important. It's about this win and what it does for each team as the season goes along. Me, you, and Stephen A. can get a team, and Charlie can be the quarterback, and we would have a shot to win the NFC East because it's that bad. And so if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you can right this ship not by just winning games outside of your division, but just beating those 3 teams that you should beat and be 6-0 against as this season goes along. But this game is more important for the Cleveland Browns because you talk about the Cowboys' aspirations. There were high aspirations for this Cleveland Brown team again this year. Why? Because of Kevin Stefanski, because of people in the Minnesota Vikings organization believing he can be a future star as a head coach in this league. And then let's look at the last 2 weeks. You beat the Cincinnati Bengals. They had the #1 pick. You beat the Washington football team. They had the #2 pick. Neither of those teams are good at playing the game of football. And so now you go into a week against the Dallas Cowboys where your passing game hasn't been clicking, where Odell Beckham Jr. only has 4 catches in consecutive weeks in each of those games. When you're playing against a secondary that couldn't stop the Atlanta Falcons, they couldn't stop the Seattle Seahawks, and early on against the Los Angeles Rams, they got the ball moving through the air as well the first game. And so when you're the Cleveland Browns going into this game, you want to see Baker Mayfield be better. You want to see Baker Mayfield explode. You want to know that if Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can't create the type of yards that they created against the Washington football team, if this defense can't create 4 turnovers against a guy like Dwayne Haskins, can Baker Mayfield win it? Can Kevin Stefanski get things to work through the pass game and actually beat a team that, at least as far as the roster says, is decent? And also at 2-1, you're actually in the hunt in the AFC North, which some people thought would be more difficult. And so for me, this is about the Cleveland Browns not only winning for their standings and for the record, but winning so they know and have the confidence in their offense and head coach that they can win.
Are you really arguing that the Cleveland Browns going to 2-2 is a bigger deal than the Dallas Cowboys falling to 1-3? Is that what you're arguing? The Dallas Cowboys have a quarterback
absolutely,
where the only argument is he worth 120 or 140 million? The Cleveland Browns have a quarterback where the question is that a first overall pick bust or a starting quarterback?
But the subject isn't Baker Mayfield or Dak Prescott. And the subject is the Cleveland Browns or the Dallas Cowboys. And you yourself have already said, Matt Kellerman, that a 6-win team can end up capturing the division. Years ago, Seattle won their division. I think it was either Seattle or New Orleans.
With 7
that
wins.
had 7 wins. That had 7 wins and won their division. I think it was New Orleans. They had 7 wins and won their division that way. So the point is, it's not about the individual. It's about the team. It's about the division that you're playing in.
Sure.
And you look at it from that perspective, clearly, Cleveland needs it more than Dallas.
It's about expectations, though. The Cowboys were expected to be above 500 this year. The Cowboys were expected potentially to be a Super Bowl contender. The Browns, people were hoping for them to be competitive enough to finish 3rd but not look bad.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.